I'm going to jump right into Mid-Ohio turn by turn. I'll say right up front, I'm a bit rusty. It's been a few years since I was there, but I hope you will find at least a few tips here. And certainly if you have questions, you can let me know, and I'll be glad to do my best to answer. So here's the track map. I will point out that if you download the Ross Bentley track map, it has different corner numbers for the what's called the pro circuit, not using the chicane that's shown here with corners 2, 3, and 4. This is sometimes called the club circuit and uses these corner numbers. Passing zones for the lower run groups, the pit straight, the passings on the left only. Between 1 and 2, passing is on the left early, on the right later. The back straight, the main straight, is on the right side, but a car giving a pass is obliged to stay left at the kink to allow that to happen. And there's a passing zone in Thunder Valley between turns 11 and 12 on the right side. That, of course, if you're in black or red, we have expanded passing, so there are some other sections where we can pass, although not as many as you might think, given how twisty parts of the track are. So a quick tour around the track with a combination of photos and diagrams of the track. Turn 1, fastest corner on the track, very fast left-hand corner. We're obviously approaching it from the right side of the track on the pit straight. Turn in is about where the bridge abutment is. It's a late apex. I don't like the way the line's drawn in this diagram. And we really want to apex 2/3, 3/4, or later along and run for some distance. It does kind of go off camber with a dip in the middle and then gets a little bit better toward track out. So that can be disconcerting at first until you get used to it. As we approach turn 1, we obviously have a braking zone. This is a brake zone where in most cars we want to avoid a super heavy brake because we want to keep the car balanced turning in. If you have a high horsepower car, you're going to need quite a bit of brake, but you're going to want to be very careful with an early brake release and get the car balanced for the high-speed turn. Turn in is around the bridge abutment. The yellow car's just taking a pass here, so he's not on line. And in the photo, I should be further to the right for the turn in at about where the Summit Racing sign is approximately. As I mentioned, along apex, along the curb that separates the track from pit out. Now, the chicane and the keyhole, kind of signature parts of Mid-Ohio, lots of fun. We're on the gas all the way to the apex of what's called turn 2 here, that first set of curbing. And then we want to brake in a straight line and then get back on the gas all the way up until we almost get to turn 4, the keyhole. And I describe it as, throwing the car into the turn after that braking zone or at the end of that braking zone. In any case, we want to bend the car in as much as we can. And then once we're on line, we want to maintain our throttle through the first, our line rather, with throttle through the first half or 2/3 of the corner until after the bump that's there. And then we can line up the apex for turn 5. This is what it looks like approaching the chicane. You can see a turn-in cone on the left, although it's a little bit late. Here's the entrance to turn 2. Notice the curb is friendly here. We can drive right over it and straighten out this section. This is approaching the keyhole, and here you see, it's a little hard to see, but there's a rise here. And it's very helpful for braking, to brake into this and then kind of relax the brakes a bit as we come over the top and turn, but use as much trail brake as we can to help the car turn on the initial part of the keyhole. The keyhole seems like it goes on forever when you first drive it because it is a long corner, and we can hug the curb if we like for a ways here, but we're going to probably end up using the gas to at least maintain speed or maybe gain a touch. But we can't really go to gas too soon or we'll screw up the exit. So again, we're looking for the bump, but this does require patience as we're going around. Once we're past the bump, we can start to wind the car in, and then, someplace around the point where you see the patches in this photo, we can start to pick up some gas. But again, we want to be judicious with that, because if we have to get on the gas and then back out, then we've lost time, not gained it. At the end of the back straight is turn 7, followed by 8 and 9. 8 is madness, officially called madness because of the way the hill interferes with the corner. Some people have incorrectly called it the jump turn, but it certainly does have a hill. But let's talk about turn 7 first. This is a nice corner, but heavy brake precedes it because it's the end of the back straight. There's good banking or camber in 7, so we can carry pretty good speed through it. But the braking for turn 7 is downhill and bumpy. And so it's very easy to brake too late here and end up in the gravel trap at the end called China Beach. And it will beach your car. It does suck cars in. So don't use this as a place to brake ultra late. Give yourself a little bit of margin and modulate accordingly at the end. So it is a heavy braking zone. And as I said, not favorable conditions since we're going downhill and there are some bumps. Here at the apex, you can see turn 7 is a nice classic right-hand corner with good banking. We can use the apex curb if we want. It's pretty friendly. As we track out, we do want to track out all the way to the left, carry as much speed as we can through 7, let the momentum carry us to the left. Yes, that makes the approach to turn 8 a little bit harder, but the whatever we give up entering 8 is more than made up by the extra speed we carry through turn 7. And so basically we want to carry speed through 7, let the momentum take us to the left side, and then just follow the left side up the hill until about where the yellow car is in this picture. So here's what 8 looks like overhead, but that really doesn't show us very much. Here's kind of what it looks like as we approach the apex curb. You can see that the hill is totally blind at this point, and we want to run along this curb for a little distance, and then as we approach the top of the hill, we're going to begin to accelerate and unwind. And we do want to let the car track out some as we go over the hill and feed some gas on, but we want to keep the wheel turned to the left enough to bring us back to the left side of the track to set up turn 9, as you see in the line here that's shown in orange. So approaching turn, actually, let me go back one here. We want to let the car track out and set up turn 9, because turn 9 sets up the S's that follow. So here's the approach to turn 9. You can see the sealer marks and the rubber. You can kind of see where the line is as we approach. But turn 9 ends up, driven properly, ends up sharper than it looks, because we really can't track out. If we track out and end up track left here, over in this area, if we end up over in this area where we'd like to, then look how we've compromised and slowed down our entrance to the S's up here. So we really want the car pointed from roughly where the picture is now. We want the car pointed as close to this bridge, the middle of this bridge, as we can, because kind of under the H or the O in Honda here is the apex of that corner. And if we end up left any more than we are now, we just make this harder. So this corner requires patience and It's a good corner to trail brake, but we really want to focus on setting up 10 A and B, the S's, as we think about driving through turn 9. This is what 10A and B look like overhead. Again, they don't give us a good perspective because of the hills. This is a straight section, probably not foot on the floor in a high-powered car, but a lot of gas. We're going to modulate the gas to carry as much speed as possible through here. Generally, the apex of 10B, we want to stay a foot or a little more off to set up the braking zone for 11, which comes up right after 10B here. So now here you can see the bridge, and you can see why we want to be under that H in Honda as we exit turn 9. Again, we're on quite a bit of gas here, maybe foot on the floor, maybe not, but we can carry a lot of speed through this section. Let me back up. But you can see the 10B is blind at this point. We can't see it. We know the road bends to the right over the hill here, but we can't see it. And as we go over the hill, now here is the apex curbing for 10B, and this is the one we want to stay a foot or so off of. It's no harm to run up on the apex here. It just makes the braking zone for 11 a little bit harder. So staying out a little bit here straightens that brake zone out a bit. Now, turn 11 is a challenging corner, also a lot of fun done properly. It begins on camber and uphill, but then goes off camber and downhill. What's not to like, right? So we have to pay a lot of attention to the line and to our technique on this corner. It's definitely a corner not to lift on as we go over the hill. It's set up with this braking zone from exiting 10B. And as I said, ideally, we'd like to brake in a straight line here. It'd be nice to be all the way track left and line up this yellow curbing on the left, but that's very difficult to do if we're carrying speed through the S's. So we end up kind of braking more on a bit of a diagonal from where the car is in this photo to almost to the end of that yellow curb, at which point we're going to turn in for the corner here. We want to use the apex curb here, and we want to stay on it for a while. This is another long apex, and because the road does fall away, obviously, and as we go over, there's only so much room. So use all of that apex, and then let the car track out and head down the left side of the track here. You can see turn 12 in the distance past the bridge. The track bends right, but we do want to stay left here. This is a passing zone on the right, and an easy place to get one or two cars by after we've been through the S's, which is a hard place to get cars by. After we get under the bridge, we do want to then move track right. Turn 12 doesn't require any braking or any other adjustments. As we're moving track right after 12, we're getting ready to enter 13. The turn-in is kind of between the brake markers. The apex here is early to mid curb, but the track out does go off camber. So we do want to make sure we nail the line here before we carry as much speed as is possible. This is a fast corner, not as fast as turn 1, but it's a fast corner. So here's, as we approach turn 13, you can see the 200 and the 100 markers. Turn in is probably, for most people, somewhere around the 100 or halfway between 100 and 200. And the apex here again is a long apex, and the curb is friendly enough we can run on it if we want. And you can see where the line goes along the curb here. And I don't think I have a photo here, but it does kind of go off camber as we approach the track out curb. Now, last but not least at MidOhio is the carousel, turns 14 and 15. We're going to approach from the right side of the track, literally right after we've exited turn 13. There's a little hill that we're going to break into. and then we can relax the brakes as we come over the hill, and then get on them again a little bit as we get down again to help the car trail brake and bend to the right. This is a compromised set of corners. We have to compromise 14 to set up 15. As a result, it's very easy to overdrive turn 14 and mess up the entrance to 15. Here, we're approaching the carousel. This yellow is actually the track out curbing of 13. So you can see how close the corners are. If we carry a lot of speed out 13, we've just finished tracking out, and now we got to set up for 14. It's a little hard to see here, but this right where the track bends right, it also goes up. There's this nice little rise, which is very helpful for braking purposes. We can brake hard into that rise and scrub off a lot of speed if we need to do that, then relax the brakes as we go over the hill. So here we're just started down that hill, and we now want to begin to bend the car to the right. And again, we've relaxed the brakes a bit coming over the hill. As the car comes down, we can apply more brake and help the car turn, especially if your car needs trail brake to help it turn. Here in 14, you can see the line right where the sealer is in the photo here. We can just pretty much follow that around. Use, again, a friendly curb. We want to be tight on this curb through 14 and be patient, because we're setting up 15 here. And if we get on too much gas too soon, we'll run to the left and we won't be where we need to be. Here's the exit of that curbing. And now we can see kind of where we want to be for 15. And we're almost to the point where we can begin to accelerate. At this point, and entering 15, we should be on a lot of gas and accelerating, onto the front straight with a late apex. We want to hit kind of the end of this apex curb here more than the beginning of it, especially if we're carrying speed onto the front straight. So that's a quick lap. Here's a couple of reminder notes. Turn 1 is fast. Good place to use slow hands to turn in. Remember to brake in time for turn 7. China Beach is waiting for those who don't. Please treat turn 11 with great respect. It's fun to do, but it's also been known to eat cars. And both the keyhole and carousel are connected corners that require patience and technique, and they will reward that if you do them correctly, but they do not reward you if you're not patient. One other thing I should have put on the slide about the track surface. Track surface is okay in the dry typically, but in the wet, it can be diabolical. It's an old surface. It's been polished for many years. And so it is incredibly slippery in the wet. So if you think about going out when it's raining or damp, think again and think again. And then if you do go out, think about, try to be as delicate as you can with the controls, because there's simply very, very little grip in the wet. You will be shocked if you haven't driven here in the wet at how little grip there actually is. So if you're going to go out in the wet, you've been warned. I'm not saying not to go out. I'm just saying approach it knowing that it can be literally diabolical and has eaten many cars in the wet who did not treat it with proper respect. So with all that said, I hope you have a great event at MidOhio. I hope you enjoy the track. It's a great track. And I'm just sorry I'm not at this MidOhio event, but I look forward to seeing you at a NNJR DE event very soon. And be safe traveling to and from the track, and have fun.